What would you do if the woman you trusted with your life had a second life hidden behind a tiny metal door you never even knew existed? It was 2:17 a.m., and I was sitting in my car outside a dimly lit strip of mailboxes off Biscayne Boulevard in Miami, watching my wife slide a key into a P.O. box that wasn't supposed to be hers, wasn't supposed to exist in our life at all. The glow from the overhead fluorescent light flickered as she pulled out a stack of packages, small, neatly wrapped, intimate in a way that made my stomach twist. And then she smiled. Not the smile she gave me at dinner parties. Not the one she forced in photos. This one was real. That's when I realized. I wasn't just being lied to, I was being erased. And I still didn't know who was sending those gifts. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. I didn't confront her that night. I sat there in silence as she walked back to her car, cradling those packages like they mattered more than anything waiting at home, including me. And that's exactly what I had become. Something waiting. Something she'd already left behind. The humiliation didn't start that night. It had been building for months. I just hadn't seen it clearly until then. It was the way she started correcting me in public. Little things. My choice of words, how I told stories, even how I laughed. At first, it felt like teasing. Then it became something sharper. Controlled. At a dinner in Coral Gables, she interrupted me mid-sentence and finished my story for me, twisting it into something that made the table laugh at me. I laughed too, because that's what you do when you're not ready to admit you're being disrespected by your own wife. Later that night, I asked her about it. She shrugged. You're too sensitive. That became her favorite line. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You're overthinking. But I wasn't. Her phone became an extension of her body. Always face down. Always within reach. The password changed twice in 1 month. She started going out more. Work dinners. Client meetings. Networking. Once, I drove past the restaurant she said she'd be at, some upscale place on Collins Avenue. Her car wasn't there. I told myself there was an explanation. There's always an explanation, until there isn't. The first real crack came from something stupid. A receipt. It was crumpled at the bottom of the laundry basket. A boutique hotel in downtown Miami, the Langford. 2 glasses of wine. Room service. Late checkout. The date? A Tuesday. She had told me she was staying late at the office. I remember holding that receipt in my hand, feeling like the ground had shifted slightly beneath me, but not enough to fall. Not yet. When I showed it to her, she didn't panic. She laughed. God, you went through the laundry now, she said, shaking her head. That was a team thing. We booked a room to prep a presentation. You really think I'd cheat on you in a hotel downtown? Be serious. And somehow, she made me feel stupid. That's how she operated. Not with fear. With control. But something had changed inside me. I started watching instead of reacting. Listening instead of arguing. And slowly, the truth started bleeding through. It was in the late-night texts she tried to hide. The way her tone softened when she stepped outside to take calls. The perfume she wore only on certain nights. The kind she never wore for me. And then the P.O. box. I followed her one evening after she said she was meeting a friend in Brickell. She didn't go to Brickell. She went to that row of mailboxes tucked between a liquor store and a closed nail salon. I watched her unlock it like it was routine. Like it had always been there. Inside were packages, at least 5 of them. Different sizes, different wrapping, all addressed to her, but not with our home address, not with my name anywhere near them. That's when I stopped being confused and started becoming something else. Strategic. I hired a private investigator the next morning. Within a week, I had everything. Photos of her entering the Langford with a man I had never seen before. Videos of them laughing together outside a rooftop bar on Ocean Drive. Phone records. Text logs. Emails. His name was Daniel Mercer. Married. Of course he was. They always are. The messages between them weren't just physical. They were worse. They talked about me. About how predictable I was. How safe I felt. How she needed more. He sent her gifts to that P.O. box. Jewelry. Lingerie. Notes that made my skin crawl. And she responded like she was in love. Not with me. With him. I remember sitting in my car reading those messages, something inside me finally breaking. Not loudly, not violently, but quietly. Like a door closing forever. That's when I stopped seeing her as my wife. And started seeing her as a problem. One I was going to solve. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I built my case. I met with a lawyer in downtown Miami. Quiet office. No windows. Just the sound of air conditioning humming while I laid out everything. Infidelity. Hidden assets. Emotional manipulation. He smiled slightly. Do exactly what you've been doing, he said. Stay quiet. So I did. I gathered more. Bank records showed she had been moving money, small amounts at a time, into a separate account. Gifts from him. Money from me. All funneled into a life I wasn't part of. Perfect. I waited. 3 weeks. That's how long it took to set everything in motion. I filed for divorce. Quietly. I froze our joint accounts the morning she went to meet him. I had her served at the Langford. Room 412. I know because I paid extra to have the process server text me the exact moment it happened. She screamed, he wrote. Good. But that wasn't the real damage. Not yet. Daniel's wife got a package the same day. Inside. Everything. Photos. Messages. Receipts. A neatly organized timeline of betrayal. I didn't need to say a word. The truth did it for me. 2 days later, his life exploded. His wife filed for divorce. His company, where he worked in a high-profile position, received an anonymous email containing the same evidence. Workplace misconduct. Affair with a married woman. It spread fast. Faster than I expected. My wife came home that night, shaking. What did you do? She demanded. I was sitting at the kitchen table. Calm. Finally calm. I stopped being your backup plan, I said. She cried. Begged. Tried to twist it back on me. You ruined everything. No. I just showed everyone what she really was. The court was quick. The evidence was overwhelming. She lost almost everything. No alimony. No control of the assets. Her reputation, gone. Friends stopped calling. Family stopped defending her. Even Daniel disappeared. Of course he did. Men like him always do when things get real. The last time I saw her was outside the courthouse on Flagler Street. She looked smaller, like the version of her I knew had been stripped away, leaving something hollow behind. I never thought you'd do this, she said. I looked at her for a long moment. You never thought I'd see you clearly, I replied. And then I walked away. Months later, I drove past that same row of P.O. boxes. The light still flickered. The metal doors still lined up in silence. But hers was empty, and somehow, that felt like the most honest thing about her. I didn't win. Not really. There's no victory in realizing the person you loved never really existed. But I got something better than revenge. I got the truth. And the truth doesn't leave room for illusions. Because the scariest part wasn't that she betrayed me. It's that she thought I would never notice. The end.